I think what's going to have to happen on Todd's side is he can't actually get in a value fight against Primeval Titan because Primeval Titan wins. It's just that card's too much value. So what he has to do is he has to shut off the deck's engine. And by doing that, that's where Ghost Quarter comes into play. There's only 3 basics in the deck.
Yeah, once you start actually strip mining, it's very powerful. And even just Ghost Quartering a bounce land is a pretty good exchange.
Yeah, it's great. Turn 1 Birds of Paradise from Todd.
Amulet pretty good at playing long games, but it also is the sort of deck that has explosive draws. Now, with this turn 1 play, it's not looking like that's where we're starting.
Vesuva copying Forest.
Not the most exciting copy.
With the banning of Summer Bloom, Amulet is much less of an explosive combo deck, and now is more of a value-oriented deck. It still has explosive draws, but most of those involve 2 amulets.
Right.
And I doubt we'll see that.
Now, the thing about Vesuva and Forest, of course, is that the deck is very heavy on bounce lands. You suspect that at some point that Vesuva will become something better.
Yeah, you can pick it up, and a lot of times you'll play it on turn 1. So we see an Explorer from Austin here. Then when you play a bounce land, it picks up and it becomes a bounce land later.
Right.
The deck has the problem that, you can't keep a hand that has only bounce lands as mana sources because then you can't play lands. We'll see turn 2, Explore into Ancient Stirrings for Austin. Really, in this kind of matchup, all he needs to do is get a Primeval Titan in play.
Right.
Doesn't really matter. Like, amulets aren't whatever. Azusa's whatever. Titan is everything.
So far, the lands by Austin do not inspire much confidence. We saw Colony Garden picked up off the Stirrings.
Yeah. It's a land drop. It plays. He'd love to have a bounce land. With the bounce land, he already has 6 mana rolled up. And he's starting to take damage as we see Scavenging Ooze and now Tireless Tracker on Todd's side. Austin's at 17.
Still no amulet for Austin. We'll see if this turn he is online with an Azusa Lost But Seeking that can ramp up some mana.
Yeah, what he'd like to do is, whether it's an Azusa or an amulet, he'd like to make a Titan. This is turn 3. He'd like to make it on turn 4. If he can't, I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, he definitely can't wait around to make it on turn 6. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Here is Azusa with Colony Garden. One bounce land should be enough if Austin has one.
Producing the Elliot Raff plant token.
No bounce land. He does have Teleria West Bazooka Bog, so that is 6 mana. I'm doing it the hard way. No, very fairly. It means when he makes Primeval Titan, he will lose that Gemstone Mine as well.
Yeah, that cost is fairly minor, but that's certainly true. I think he'll get by without that one.
Yeah, well, the cost is, it means transmuting that Teleria West he has in play is a ways off.
Sure. He does have a bunch of just green sources. That Bazooka Bog that does not produce meaningful mana.
Right.
The Vesuva, of course, still on that Forest.
Todd going to crack some clues. Tireless Tracker up to a 5/4. Swings in. This is for 7.
You're going to want to chump block with that plant token at some point.
Yeah.
5 power creature is a reasonable trade.
Yeah, right now seems just fine. You don't want to give Todd the opportunity to path it to kill you.
Yeah.
Austin takes 2, goes to 13, I believe. Maybe he already took the 2. He's at 15. Courser of Krufix from Todd, showing Collected Company on top. And now we get into the fun part, if Austin has the Titan, which I believe he does, where the deck Amulet works in 2 phases. Step 1 is how to make a Titan, and Step 2 is figuring out how to win once you have the Titan. This is not the easiest of boards to clean up. You can't, because you don't have an Amulet, you can't just attack through. 20ing with a Titan isn't really a play here, at least not right away.
Yeah, you can only set up for next turn because any of the special lands you get are just going to enter tapped.
So the ways he's looking to clean it up, Engineered Explosives can clean up the 3s, and then maybe later on Walking Ballista can clean up whatever's left. Here is Primeval Titan. He'll lose the Gemstone Mine. And now we go to work.
Yeah, so we won't be able to do the explosive thing. Again, there's still no amulet on the battlefield.
No amulet, no red-white lands.
Yeah.
It's more of a control strategy from here for Austin. I like he's going to get Boros Garrison. So he may get if he has another Titan in hand, this makes the most sense. And he'll get Radiant Fountain. He's very much concerned about his life total. Has not made a land drop this turn. Yep. So he can pick up and make a land drop. He's not getting any blue mana for his Teleria West. That makes me think he has another Titan.
Right, because he's not prioritizing
a chain.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking like picking up the Vesuva and changing that might be what he's looking at. Or he can also just use the Garrison for that kind of means.
Right, so he's probably picking up the Vesuva. I don't think he's picking up the Teleria West because he has no blue mana. If he has nothing to do, he could pick up Radiant Fountain and use it as a land drop this turn.
Radiant Fountain primarily for matchups like Burn. But, yeah, the 2 life can matter in other spots.
Yeah, the fact that you can keep recasting it, replaying it, it helps in a pinch in a lot of situations. If he wants life points here, picks up Fountain. I actually think, unless he can spend this mana, that picking up Colony Garden makes more sense, because I think the 0/1 gains him more life than the Fountain.
Right, yeah, I mean, there's a Tireless Tracker that's already 5 power.
Exactly.
My understanding is that 5 is more than 2.
Yeah, and because that tracker is... Sure, okay, he does have extra land drops as well. Plays Simic Growth Chamber and then plays his Forest. So now he's used all Zazusa land drops. He'll cast Explore. And another Simic Growth Chamber, and now he'll pick up Vesuva with it. So he does have, counting his mana here, which is not trivial, we have 8 lands in play, 3 are bounce lands, so he's at 11. That means that next turn, with his, he can make Ballista on 4, he can make Engineered Explosives on 3 and crack. Path to Exile takes care of the Titan. He actually has 2 forests. Does he have the 3rd forest? I don't think he got it.
He picked up his deck.
Okay.
So, suggests that it would not already have been in the hand.
The thing I don't like about Austin's play here is he left the Teleria West on the battlefield, and he's playing against a Ghost Quarter deck. I wish that was with as much blue mana as he has here. I'd like to see that be in his hand. Now, the problem is if that Todd Ghost Quartered away a Simic Growth Chamber, Austin would actually only be down to 1 blue source. Maybe that's what he was thinking of. However, now Todd has an easy line to Ghost Quarter away the Teleria West, and actually Austin's back at phase 1.
Right, and we know that Todd had this Collected Company, and he just gets to leave this Ghost Quarter untapped on top of casting that this turn.
Right. Even Mind Sensor in the main, that's a huge find for Todd with the Knight of the Reliquary.
Oh, yeah. This deck does a lot of shuffling and searching.
Now, Teleria West will still find something, but Austin no longer would have control over what it finds. He needs that Walking Ballista, and needs it pretty soon. Or I guess, actually, Engineered Explosives on 3 is still excellent here, if he just has it.
Well, yeah, also the other card off the company is that Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah.
So that just cleans up a lot.
EE on 3 is good against Todd Stevens' deck.
Yes. Probably at its best against Todd.
Would be a big find. If Austin has the Engineered Explosives, Todd will pass. I think if Austin can find EE, we're probably good to go.
He did just make a chump block with his 3-mana creature.
Yeah.
Makes it feels like it might already be available.
Well, you probably do it either way because, you know, you're so much just on an out on that as your out that
it's not really making more land drops either.
And there's a neat interaction here. So he packs and he only can find a Zusa. You don't, once you see the creatures in Todd's deck off company, it's too late to respond. If he knew there was Mind Sensor in Todd's deck, what Austin could have done is packed it in response to the company. However, once Todd shows him Mind Sensor, it's actually too late. Yeah. There's this timing issue where, like, Austin could have been a hero and done this in response to company if he just had the total read on Todd Stevens. I don't think that's a... I'm not faulting him for not making that play. That's not a thing.
As it stands, he cast Summoner's Pact, and top 4 only gave him another copy of Asusa.
Yeah, he needed Primeval Titan. And even then, Primeval Titan doesn't do too much here.
Yeah. Game definitely feels like it's slipping away.
Oh, I think he's dead on the next attack. Going to tap 5. Vesuva, okay. I think Vesuva's going to try to pick up Teleria West here. He's copying a bounce line. Now remember, he doesn't have to say what he's picking up until... Yeah, Copperos cares and picking up Vesuva West. If I'm on Todd Stevens' spot, I'm very surprised he let Austin do this.
And I think that this is one of the big edges that you get playing the Amulet deck. Your opponent is generally going to have less of an idea of what's going on than you are. It's also true that Todd just has the Mind Sensor online.
Yeah.
So you can be relatively confident that your opponent won't find what they're actually looking for. Now, even still, you have this counterplay. You may as well go for it.
Yeah, it's another Teleria West. Had Austin found the Engineered Explosives in the top 4, I know it's low probability, but it would have been excellent.
Yeah.
We'd be looking at a different game now.
And that was his blue mana.
Right.
Just green mana floating, a bunch of non-blue sources left over.
And a Zoosun Tribe Scout. Remember, Austin has a pact to pay for. Doesn't want to forget that. Austin may get one more shot at transmuting that Teleria West. Todd continues to make clues.
Yeah, those 2 blockers, they'll buy him another turn, but really needs to clean up Todd's board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Mind Sensor really coming in clutch. Saw multiple tutors kind of stymied there on Austin's turn.
Mind Sensor is great against this deck.
That card used to see a lot of play. I've registered that card for extended tournaments. I'm not thinking about it in any of the modern decks I would play, but it fits the bill for Collected Company, definitely.
And Todd, I think what he's going to do here is he's going to get a Ghost Quarter. If he Ghost Quarters both the Simic Growth Chambers, Austin can't transmute Teleria West anymore.
Yeah, and he does know about that card in Austin's hand.
Right. It's the only card in Austin's hand. Todd draws the Collected Company. Top card's Gavany Township.
And he has plenty of mana. He actually has enough to Collected Company and activate the Ghost Quarters here.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really need to commit more to the battlefield. You know, mostly the extra game actions he needs to commit are using these Ghost Quarters. And honestly, you don't really want the Company because you're just committing more 3 mana cost creatures into potential explosives. He has some number of 2s, but he also just kind of wants to draw the Gavany Township because that way his 1 mana creatures start to matter more in case he does get hit by explosives.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Austin, his Vesuva copied Boros Garrison. If it had copied Simic Growth Chamber, then he could top deck a blue, like a Gemstone Mine, and still be able to transmute through 2 Ghost Quarters on his blue mana. He's not going to be able to do that right now because he only has 2 and not 3 sources. So if Todd makes that play, I don't believe Austin has a defense other than just top decking the explosives.
Todd goes for the Company. Both doesn't. Yeah, he puts the Township on the bottom of the library and also only finds Birds of Paradise.
You see a Worship on top of Todd's deck. If Austin can win from here, I don't think the Worship will come into play.
Yeah, you end up getting 2 explosives for 4.
Yeah, well, you only have 1. No, he has 2. He has 2 copies of Engineering Explosives. Correct myself. So, yeah, it's easy. Todd leaving up the Ghost Quarters.
You also inevitably, assuming that things could ever go your way, get to make a gigantic Walking Ballista and just mop up the team.
Austin pays for Pact and gets to draw. Looks like he will get to transmute. And he'll try for it. Todd he has gotten away with 1 here. I don't think he was supposed to get the chance to find an Engineered Explosives.
And again, I reiterate the point about playing such a weird deck. This is the second time that Todd's kind of left Ghost Quarters up. It's hard to know what's going on with the Amulet Titan deck.
Yeah. If he hasn't found an EE in the top 4, it doesn't matter. Then he's dead.
Yeah.
He found Gruul Turf. That's not good enough.
Not so much.
And I don't know that he can survive another turn. It does not look like it.
All kinds of power on the other side of the battlefield. Only 1 blocker for Austin. So you put that in front of the tracker. We still have, 4 power plus a Knight of the Reliquary, 2 Ghost Quarters. That Yeah, pretty easily lethal. Yeah, you have to do something. You're just dead on board. The big play, the engineered explosives, that one does not seem to be available. Another chump blocker, sadly, is the next best thing.
Plays Gruul Turf, says does the trigger resolve, eject a quarter in response. He's going to pick up Radiant Fountain. At this point, picking up Fountain versus picking up Colony Garden's about the same.
There's 2 large creatures now because of Night Tracker.
Oh, there's Night. Yeah,
so
okay,
the,
so then
the Garden,
Garden's better.
I think, is a fair amount better. Well, we'll find out if he gets another turn from here.
Well, one of the issues at this point is Todd has picked up so many resources that even if Austin finds engineered explosives on 3, Todd has so many clues and so many cards in hand that that's only the beginning.
So Tracker is an 8, and then the other creatures combined are lethal. And the Knight of the Reliquary, I don't know how large it is right now, but Todd can just Ghost Quarter himself twice, get it at least to the power that the Tireless Tracker is.
Oh, okay, so Todd actually... Okay, there's an onboard attack that may be lethal here.
He activated the Knight, but I believe he just had onboard lethal. He might still have it. I mean, he gets these redraws and looks. Pathing the Azusa makes things lethal with the Tracker.
Using Knight to find Township may also be lethal, which is what he's done.
Sure.
So in that case, yeah, one lethal versus another, whatever.
He's doing it the fancy way.
I can respect that. I like that.
This tends to be how I play on Magic Online when my opponent's not conceding. just run up the score.
Yeah.
I don't do it so much in paper Magic.
Township the team, swing the team. That should be lethal. You block the Tracker, 3 from the Mind Sensor, 3 from the Ooze, 3 from the Courser. 1 from each flyer. That's 11.
Yeah. Any number of ways Stevens could have assembled lethal on this turn.
And Austin will give double strike to the Tireless Tracker.
Good play.
Take some extra. I'm in. And Todd Stevens takes game 1. Green-White Company up 1-0 on Amulet Titan.
Players clearly not concerned about the round clock. Not even 20 minutes for the first game.
All right. Let's go ahead and look over at the sideboards. We'll start on Austin Robbins' side. He's got 3 Obstinate Baloth, 3 Spell Pierce, 2 Dismembers, a Braid, Hornet Queen, Kozilek's Return, Fire Spout, Reclamation Sage, Rurk Thar, the Unbowed, and Nature's Claim.
Honestly, I'm not really seeing too much that plays here. I think the big one is these Dismembers. They take care of a lot of the creatures that Todd is playing here. A Braid doesn't really answer too much. Spell Pierce is like, okay, I don't think that's the fight you're trying to battle. I think generally it's just the Dismembers. I don't believe this to be a Hornet Queen matchup. It is true that it lines up well against creatures, but I think you generally should be winning those games.
Yeah, so Hornet Queen is okay in creature matchups. I agree with you here. Todd's going on a land destruction strategy, so I don't think more 7-drops is actually the answer.
Yeah. And mostly just looking probably at the Dismembers.
Dismember seems good. I'm not opposed to a Braid here, just as a way to remove...
Mind Sensor?
Yeah, way to remove Mind Sensor.
That one can be a big deal.
In that sense, Fire Spout or Kozilek's Return might be fine. That's all I'd really want to go toward here.
Yeah, you don't want to board too heavily.
On Todd Stevens' side, 3 Surgical Extraction, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Stony Silence, 2 Reclamation Sage, Eldritch Evolution, Eidolon of Rhetoric, Kataki, Elspeth, Sun's Champion, Choke, and Gideon's Intervention.
I don't mind Eidolon of Rhetoric here. This is a deck that's frequently tried to cast Summoners packs, cast multiple Titans in the same turn. That can have some play. The cost of putting it in your deck is relatively low as well. Reclamation Sage is fine. I mean, it deals with amulets, which make the most explosive draws happen. Though post-sideboard, your opponent's on this value plan. It's pretty free to put it in is kind of the big thing about this deck.
Yeah, so it depends on what he wants to board out. I think a lot of times when I play against decks with Amulet, people are boarding a little heavily to try to deal with amulets. So, depending on the text on Gideon's intervention, you can try to stop Primeval Titan that way. That probably doesn't matter either. I'm not too interested in Eidolon of Rhetoric. Surgical Extraction is a little interesting if you can hit his Teleria Wests.
Just given the way that Todd's deck plays the game, how slowly he wins, that makes cards like Eidolon more inviting.
Yeah, I mean, finding room for one of it is fine. A lot of times, Austin will only play one card in a turn. That might still be fine. I actually do really want Surgical here, because I do think if you can hit these Teleria Wests, that's a big win against the Amulet deck, especially the way these games play out.
Sure. Todd was not aggressively ghost quartering the Teleria West, so I don't know that that's the plan he's going to be on. I buy that is something you can do.
Well,
I don't know if we're going to see him execute.
When Austin transmutes the first one, you just get it then.
I understand, but that did not seem to be part of Todd's game plan at all. He was just letting Austin transmute those.
Okay. The best weapon on Todd's side is still in the main deck. It's still Knight of the Reliquary Ghost Quarter.
Yes. Yeah, I think that you had those sideboard explosives. I think that's a bad fight to pick. That's a little bit too mopey when it comes to if you want to fight over amulets. The thing about the Reclamation Sages is that you can actually just company into them. It's kind of a free roll.
Turn 1 Amulet from Austin. Eidolon is in. Todd has it in the opener. Here's Birds of Paradise.
Pretty freely shocking off the Temple Garden. Todd's a player that very aggressively gets basic lands, but this is definitely a matchup where your life total does not super matter.
And Ancient Stirrings from Austin Robbins. If we can get a double Amulet start.
Yeah, that could make for a pretty quick game.
Sure can, and there is one at the top there. I'm almost always interested in it. If he has the bounce land and the Titan, it's just going to be second Amulet.
Yeah.
He's thinking about it, which means there's something's off. You want to take the second Amulet, and he will. Colony Garden, untap, make a plant, make an Amulet. Now just one bounce land, one Titan. Works. We're going to see Eidolon of Rhetoric, I think, from Todd. So if Austin's Titan is a Summoner's Pact, that will be good. If it's just Primeval Titan bounce land in his hand, then this Eidolon's going to do nothing.
Yeah.
And Todd will just go for Knight of the Reliquary instead. I don't mind that. That's just... It does mean bounce land Summoner's Pact kills him, and Eidolon would have stopped that.
Yeah. The motivation is... Obviously, he can't get Ghost Quarter online this turn, or he would have done it. This sets up to maybe do that. Say Austin doesn't have the bounce land yet.
He has a third Amulet. Teleria West untapping twice. That's 4 mana. Azusa. Says go. Mana.
Overspent, but whatever.
Well, I think he had another Amulet. He could have just dumped one into play. I think he has a third one. Not that 3 versus 2 matters, actually. You're already over on mana at this point.
Yeah. I don't know if he brought them in, but I mean, let's say that Todd does have Engineered Explosives. Casting that third Amulet, pretty bad.
What I like about the play from Austin here, of getting the Teleria West in play, is now any bounce land immediately wins here because he has double blue. The bounce land, you make mana, pick up the Teleria West, transmute, and we're going.
Yeah.
You see in that, okay, Simic Growth Chamber. Okay, yeah, Todd needs to go get a Ghost Quarter.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am not interested in this ability resolving.
He's going to float 3. Well, it may... We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, and the quarter was pointed at the Growth Chamber.
Right, and it should be. That's the right target.
Yeah.
Now, so Austin's going to get a forest here. He can make 1 green off it. He has 4 mana. He still has to pick up a land. He's going to probably pick up that Teleria West. Actually, no, he's not. He's going to go ahead and, okay, make Colony Garden. He already has a Titan.
Yeah.
So that's 4 mana. Colony Garden enters the battlefield, untaps twice, makes another plant. 6 mana, Primeval Titan. Oh, boy. This is
with 2 amulets?
Oh, this is done.
This is a lot.
the 2 amulet draws, you're willing with this deck, if you have 2 amulets in the opener and a bounce land, like, you keep any hand with 2 amulets. That's even close to reasonable.
I like this round 11 conviction by Stevens. This is obviously a lethal board state, but Todd is asking the foil amulet player, do you know how your deck works?
Well, what I like is it's not... if Austin's really... You don't always have to go for lethal here. Sometimes it's actually better to just go for, like, some big setup that's better. So you see he makes 6 mana here.
Yeah, you're not going to be
another Titan.
You're not going to be hit by a Wrath of God, you know.
Yeah. Like, you know, sometimes it's actually might be safer to just set up for a huge blocking ballista and say go, or like...
There's all kinds of ways to win this game.
Yeah. If you go for one big Titan, you might get hit by a path.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you go for 1 big Titan at the end of going for 3 small Titans. You could just do it all.
You're doing everything. It doesn't really matter.
Again, players continue to express no concern for the round clock.
Well, what Austin did, he had a 2nd Titan in hand. Now he'll get some Boros Garrison and Slayer's Stronghold. It untaps twice, so you can give both Titans 2-0 Haste Vigilance.
Not bad.
Yep. And he has to pick up a land for his bounce land. Todd will pick up the cards. There we go. Game 3.
He saw it.
Yeah.
Good effort by Stevens.
No problem.
Made him figure that out. And we're going to Game 3. Stevens will be back on the play, hoping to see more Ghost Quarter action. And, you know, honestly, sometimes against Amulet Titan, my plan often just involves hoping they have a non-functional hand.
Yeah. It's... Most of the hands with the... Now that we're off Summer Bloom are functional. They don't all do that.
Yeah.
So some of them are just ramping into Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Those ones are more beatable for sure.
Right. Stevens does not have the fastest clocks in the format. He has ways to set up Ghost Quarters, which are pretty impactful in this matchup, but he at least does enough damage where Austin really does want to find an amulet in this matchup.
Yeah, the best way, because Todd has enough defense, the best way around it is to be quicker on the Titan. I definitely agree. Yeah. With Todd on the play, once you have early Knight of the Reliquary, I'm actually off some amount of Amulet in this matchup because, as you saw there, once Todd had a Ghost Quarter going, Amulets actually don't do anything. You know, the way you can fight through them is just things like Azusa's, ways just to get more lands out into play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's not going to board him out, but I don't think they're as important when he's on the draw.
Sure.
Todd taking a mulligan here. Meantime, we want to debut something here. So we have some new tokens that I'm pretty darn excited about. These are our commentator tokens for our invitational qualifiers. See, myself and Patrick Sullivan. I know you had the treasure token a couple months ago. You can get the legendary dragon of Patrick Sullivan, or myself, a creature construct. You can get these tokens of playing an invitational qualifier. Find a location near you at starcitygames.com/IQ.
These are pretty rad. I like both artworks there a lot.
That robot's good at math. It's a math bot.
It's just got an abacus built in.
Yeah.
It's ready to go. I've been fond of the treasure token that was on the slide. Made that one my Twitter avatar. Looks really nice next to glib comments.
Yeah.
Stevens going to 5.
Okay.
My estimation is that this is generally a pretty rough matchup, and it's just because he has some cards that are pretty impactful, but it's just there's only so many of them. The Knights, the Paths, the Ghost Quarters. Technically, you extend that, Collected Company becomes a card that matters, but this stuff's all kind of slow.
Yeah, so against Austin's slower hands, which Amulet has a lot of, especially on 6, I think we can see Todd set up things like he did Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
But against quicker draws, you're right. If Austin can get a Titan out by turn 3, which I think is what he did in Game 2, Todd's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So, Scry resolved. I believe Todd thinking about turn 1 play. Austin was on a mulligan thinking about his try.
Todd's hand is Courser, Worship, Path. Just finds the Birds of Paradise here. Says go. He'll get his Courser next turn. Austin starts on Colony Garden. Vesuva copying Colony Garden, sure. Austin unlikely to make a Titan before turn 4, maybe even it's turn 5. Todd makes Courser Crufix. Can he hit his land drop? No, he can't. There's Tireless Tracker. Says go.
That'll combine pretty well with the Courser, assuming he can get a land. If it's on the following turn, that'll start to snowball really quickly.
Yeah, down the road, this will be a lot of value, if there is a down the road.
This is also a good threshold of toughness to block for that Worship. Puts more pressure on Robbins to build up even more, make a gigantic walking ballista.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. If Austin gets a Titan in play, and I guess the Titan will get pathed, so I think you're right here. If I was going to say, if you got a Titan in play and it's uncontested, no amount of toughness is going to matter. But there is a path, so that could do something.
It's the Worship that makes it matter. It's
right.
Not the blockers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Titan, if it keeps attacking, you get more and more lands. You eventually get a gigantic ballista.
Azusa from Austin makes 2 more land drops. Growth Chamber and Vesuva picking now is on Simic Growth Chamber. Austin has a Gemstone Mine. He'll have land 6 ready next turn for a Primeval Titan if he has one.
Steven has a choice here between the Tireless Tracker, the 3-drop, and the Mana Dork. Goes for the Mana Dork. The reason being he wants to make sure if he gets another turn that he gets to cast that Worship on that turn.
Okay. Plant Token blocks the Courser of Crufix. It was a 4 power swing thanks to Exalted. Makes sense. Back over to Austin we go. Now does he have the Primeval Titan? I know he has land 6.
He's taking his time.
Right. The Worship is interesting that you're mentioning. A lot of times these games snowball pretty hard.
Yes.
And the idea that Todd Amulet will just be cold to Worship is probably not real. It might take him a long time to get through it. If he does just start getting control of the game, eventually he'll find a way to get around Worship. The deck has enough of them.
If you combine it with Path to Exile, you force the Ballista to kind of happen all at once.
Yeah.
So you open the... I believe that Austin can generate the mana to do that. The question is, will he sequence to do that?
Yeah, so he has his ways to remove Worship are 2 Engineered Explosives, 1 Walking Ballista, and then he does have this Reclamation Sage in his sideboard that he did see a Worship on top of Todd's deck in Game 2, so maybe he's boarded it in.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
Yeah, there's Courser of Crufix in your opponent's deck, so it's not the worst.
Ooh, how about this, though? Fire Spout for Austin.
Well, did he pay red mana for it? I think it might just be Fire Spout on green. See Todd pathing his birds. That makes me think it is just green mana.
Yeah, choosing not to tag his own Azusa, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, is his Azusa worth more or less than 2 Noble Hierarchs would be the question. On this board, maybe he did pay red for it, too.
I would want to get rid of the Hierarchs.
And he does. His own cards are gone. He doesn't. He's just waiting for Primeval Titan. His lands are already in play. So, yes, there's an Amulet in play. This isn't free to get rid of Azusa, but knocking Todd down to just 2 lands sounds great.
It was also suspicious that on the previous turn, Austin knew about the Tireless Tracker, and he saw Todd prioritize the mana creature instead.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And how Courser gets in for 2. If Austin finds a Primeval Titan, there's an Amulet in play. We are good to go. Second Amulet. That is not a Primeval Titan.
Correct.
That is. Oh.
Summoner's Pact.
Uh-oh. This is danger. Danger. This is just everything's gonna be gone.
This is a conclusion we saw to Game 2.
Yeah.
We did not see players pick up their sideboard, so everything should still be in there.
Yeah.
I can't imagine why you would board your Slayer Stronghold out in the first place, but
even though there's a Path to Exile on top of Todd's deck, so it's not gonna be a double Titan because I don't think Austin has another in his hand. The Path's not gonna be good enough here. So what Austin will do is he can attack for 10, and then he can lay up for another good turn. And I think his options are he can make Engineered Explosives on 3. So that's pretty tempting. The other option would be to try to just make a Ballista to finish whatever damage you didn't have. With 2 amulets in play, Ballista for 10 is actually, well, it's only 20 mana that's getting in range.
Only 20 mana. But yeah.
That's a real thing.
We're getting there. For the low, low price of 20.
You can just win.
You too could have a 10/10 walking Ballista.
Vesuva copying Boros Garrison, untapping. Makes that as his land drop for the turn, picking up Gemstone Mine.
Copying Boros Garrison, it feels like he's probably reaching for the double strike land.
Yeah, well, on the attack, yeah, this is on his attack. He can go ahead and do that. He can get Sunhome.
Right. Fortress of Legion? Is that what it's called?
Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion, yeah.
Nice.
And that means even with a block on Todd's side, he'll go to 2, and that's why he's getting the Teleria West. Because with Teleria West in play, now he puts out Todd to 2. Todd has to chump. Any bounce land means he finds it, transmutes for Ballista, and shoots 2.
Not hard.
Might have to shoot for 3 because, you know, Corsair Crewfix. I think we can afford that, though.
Might have to shoot for 7 because of Worship. But it's Path the Exile on top of the library, so it'd have to be land under that.
Todd's Tracker blocks. The Titan is a 10/6 double strike trample vigilance haste.
A fair card.
It's a lot of words. Todd, it's like they're playing hexproof. Look at all that text.
Ooh, there's Ghost Quarter.
Right, Todd goes to 3.
I mean, it's pretty trivial for Austin to get Walking Ballista, assuming it's still in the deck.
I think what Todd's line needs to be to stay alive here is Path the Titan, Ghost Quarter the Teleria West, and then hope. Because the problem is any bounce land actually can kill you here, Ryan, and this is a fun line. Copy Colony Garden, give it haste, give it double strike. That's real.
Sure.
You could die to a plant here.
Yeah. And there's Path Attack.
All right. You got to go score. I think I guess because the bounce land kills you with Colony Garden in a turn also, I guess you don't have to Ghost Quarter the Teleria West.
Yeah, you just kind of hope to fade on this turn.
Yeah, you're fading a little too much.
I mean, there's another basic forest in the deck, right?
There's a third basic forest.
There's probably at least one more amulet still in. He might have not paid for his pact. Austin wisely pays for that.
Oh, we had that. Sakura Tribe Scout will kill you. Here's Gemstone Mine.
That's not lethal.
You could draw them. Those are fine. Oh, he's using mana on something.
I don't like that.
It's just Walking Ballista was in the hand. Yeah, that'll do. Todd shakes hands.
All right, yeah. Austin Robbins, 2-1 over Todd Stevens.
Yeah, I think Todd could have stayed